Get ready with me. Meanwhile, we talk about why you keep attracting emotionally unavailable men. First of all, let me tell you, I've been there. There was a time in my life where I didn't know my worth, where I was insecure. I thought I needed to control the situation. I thought I needed to tell the other person what they're supposed to do. I thought I didn't know any better, but I learned throughout the years to become this type of woman that I'm able to show up today. I got cheated on, and then I was single for about 5 years. I was completely against the idea of getting married. Like, I didn't know what that meant. I thought that all men were the same because of, that betrayal that happened to me at such a young age. I was basically an angel who gave a lot, but like she didn't know her worth and was constantly doing too much, right, for the other person. And let me tell you, a relationship is not about who is doing more. When I was about 25 years, I was just like, what type of woman do I need to become to attract, the sole provider man, to attract this type of man who I essentially wanted to be with. I kept on dating, but I didn't meet men who I saw a future with, right? So I met all sorts of men, but none of them were the ones who I wanted to spend a life with. Even though that was like the first step into getting into this type of transformation work, everything that I've experienced in my past, we keep on projecting it out until we actually see what's underneath the pattern. What experiences did I have that I was projecting out this idea that all men were the same? I got betrayed. I attracted men who would come last minute and I would get so excited. I would be like, oh my God, he's so spontaneous, right? When I didn't really know the underlying truth. And what's the underlying truth? I mean, this may not be the case for every guy that calls you up last minute, but his first plan maybe fell apart. Like, when a man truly wants you, he wants to make plans from the minute he finishes up the date. So I was getting excited for something that I might have been the last thing on his mind, or the second choice, right? I actually started noticing this. Meanwhile, I was talking to my friends, and I was just like, I'm nobody's second choice. Like, I need to step up my game. Why am I getting so excited for the bare minimum, for like the attention that he was giving me when like he didn't even put an effort to take me out in the first place? If I thought that all men were the same, of course I was gonna get the same type of man who I thought that meant. So I challenged that belief, and actually my stepmother was just like, all men are not the same. She's like, be careful with what you believe, because whatever you believe, you're gonna get. And like, I love that about her. And actually, she told me that when I was very young. Going back to the story of attracting unavailable men, is that I was getting this type of man because I thought that those were the only ones that were available for me. Let that sink in for a moment. There were certain rules that I needed to understand. There were certain boundaries that I needed to understand. I mentioned this in another video that if you're in a relationship and your spark, and you're amazing when you're single, but when you're in a relationship and your spark, it's dimming, it's not because of your partner. It's actually because of the energy that you're giving to that partner. You're not giving to yourself. Before, it was only you. You're about your dreams, your desires, the things that you wanted to do. All of a sudden, when you're in a relationship, it becomes all about them. You're abandoning yourself. Attracting unavailable men is because somewhere along your life, you've learned that that's what you get in love. Maybe in your childhood years, you experienced that. You saw your mom and your father talk to each other the way that you talk to your partner, and you identify, oh, that's the way that you feel love. That's the way that relationship carries on. I mean, it kind of summarizes it all. You are mistaking chemistry for compatibility. When we mistake chemistry for compatibility, we are attracting essentially men who feel good because there's a certain familiar pattern with them. So you're essentially repeating a, a past story that you've experienced. You're actually attracted to the potential. Like you could see that he can become a better person, and instead of actually seeing what he's currently showing you, you're like, you live in this fantasy land of, oh, he's going to be better, or oh, he's going to, he's going to be better, but you are living in potential instead of reality. Let that sink in for a moment because we tend to forget. It really depends on how that person is making you feel. Because if you resent your partner for not being good enough, you're essentially going to be in a relationship where you're unhappy. When you wake up, when you're not able to take it anymore, you're going to probably be older and be like, what have I done with my life? Why have I settled for less? All of these questions tend to come up when you cannot take it anymore. When we wake up once and realize that you are resentful not only for the partner that you've chosen, but you're resentful towards yourself. And that sucks. Why wait until we cannot take it anymore? And I think resentment is not a one time thing. It's not a one time experience. It's accumulated habits and things, little things that you push over because you think that they're not worth the fight. You kind of realize, like, what am I doing? Why am I accepting this type of treatment? Why am I accepting? Why are you going back to people that are not worth your time? If he's telling you that he is not ready for a relationship, why would you go back to that thing? You're going to get attached. And women lie to themselves the entire, like, all of the time, saying, oh, I'm not gonna get attached, blah blah blah. Women are different than men. We get attached. So if you've learned that love has to be earned, inconsistency feels familiar. What does that mean, Greta? Oh, maybe you learned that your dad or your caregiver only gave you love when you were doing something good. Essentially, you learn that love has to be earned. So that type of inconsistency can feel familiar. That type of inconsistency, that's you repeating a pattern. That's you repeating the same type of love you learned you get to receive as a child. The entire steps of my makeup, because I'm like giving my energy towards the video. But let's continue. We continue repeating the same familiar pattern that you've learned throughout the years. We want to unlearn that to create and become the woman who gets the most amazing and nourishing love. And if you're ready, join Creating Extraordinary Relationships, because the course, it's amazing. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have an amazing day. I have to go. I have a date right now, so bye.